Hello there and welcome to another one of my little talks. The title of this particular talk is entitled Seed of Zen, and it's going to be the first of a series of talks on Zen Buddhism. So, what do I mean by the seed of Zen? Well, what I mean by seed is something within us that has the potential to grow into something that's ultimately quite beautiful, really. Something that has the potential to make us better people. However, before this seed within us can start to grow again, because it was growing at one point. Our spiritual nature was growing at one point until we encountered, that is, Western education, whereby we were carefully educated out of it at around the age of 5 or 6. But so, as it were, before we begin to pour water on that seed again, and enable our spiritual potential to grow again, we have to ultimately be fed up with ourselves. We have to be, I guess, disturbed by the way we are. Whether we're often depressed or jealous, or angry or frustrated. I don't need to tell you about all the negative thoughts and emotions that we have as human beings. But in essence, we may be regularly feeling or thinking any one of these or a number of these at any time. And we have to come to a point where we're fed up with this, where we're fed up with being depressed all the time, where our disturbance prompts us to do something, where we can no longer put up with our being angry or jealous. And this is what brings us to spiritual training, or any religious training, come to that. This is what brings us to Buddhism, or any other spiritual practice for that matter. And of course, this is the reason why so many people go to psychologists and psychiatrists, doctors, because they need help with life. They need help understanding their lives. And of course, doctors and psychiatrists can help us so far. They can be helpful, take us to a certain point. But in Zen, we don't see this as being enough. The psychologist can take us to what we call the door. If you want to go, or rather the wall, if you want to go beyond the wall, if you want to see what you really are and what life's really all about, then you come to spiritual practice or religious practice, whichever way you want to look upon it. Because the Zen teacher or the Zen master can take you from the wall to what lies behind it, provided you've got the guts or courage to go there. But unfortunately, most people haven't. And that's why most people live their lives in delusion and therefore suffering. But those few of us that fortunately have got up the gumption to do something about ourselves, and they're prepared to go beyond the wall, do enter some sort of spiritual training, and this is what brings us to practice, or in this case, Zen practice. This is what brings us to practicing Zen Buddhism, and in particular Shikantaza, which is the form of meditation which we practice in Zen Buddhism. whereby we sit and we look at a wall. A very odd practice, possibly to someone that's never encountered it. Indeed, when I began, I found it quite odd, and I often used to feel quite stupid sitting there, staring at a wall with a load of other people doing the same thing, sitting around me. But this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. We need to let go of our conscious minds, the minds that limit us, our ego, if you like. Call it what you will, conscious mind, ego, but it's that part of us that stops us from living fully. It's that part of us that discriminates, that judges whoever and whatever is placed before us in life. And in Shikantaza, what we're doing when we're sitting down to meditate is we're effectively going beyond this. We're going beyond this to a state whereby we can see clearly that really such discriminating thinking is not only unhelpful but also illusionary, because ultimately there is no difference between any of us, between any other life form on this planet or anywhere else, and to see that ultimately the only way in which we can truly live our lives to their full potential is to come to a point where we express ourselves with what's known in Buddhism as karuna or maha karuna, great compassion, and maha prajna, great wisdom. But we can only develop great compassion and wisdom through practice, through sitting down at a regular time and letting go, and allowing that seed within us to grow. That seed within us that has the potential to offset suffering and go beyond the illusions that we normally choose to live our lives through. And this, of course, is what Shakyamuni Buddha did, the original Buddha, some 2,500 years ago. He, after being completely fed up with seeing the suffering in life, and after engaging in all sorts of ascetic practices, he decided to sit down and try and work it out calmly, but diligently, to sit down and find something within himself that would help him get over this. And indeed, this was really what we call in Zen the first koan. And a koan is a religious or spiritual problem. In fact, any problems that we have in life, Zen sees as koans. And all problems are koans, because we can only solve any problem that we have in life by going beyond opposites, through seeing, by seeing that discriminatory fault is not the way.